Hello, everyone. It's Lee Henson, President and Founder of AgileDad, and it's time for today's episode of the Daily Stand-Up. So without any further ado, let's get started. Today's Friday, and today you might notice I'm not in as much of an upbeat mood. I wanted to take an opportunity to use this medium to pay tribute on this or near this 20th anniversary of the September 11th attacks on the World Trade Center, to do a little bit of a tribute to those who lost loved ones, to those who had things that happened in their lives that have been affected personally by the incidents that took place on September 11th. What I can tell you is this has a profound impact on my heart personally. Just like many others, I remember specifically what I was doing on that morning on September 11, 2001. I was running on a treadmill and I was in a fitness center and I was watching TV. And that was when the plane struck the first tower, and people didn't know exactly what had happened at that point. People didn't know what was going on. We knew it was an explosion. But then once that second plane tore through the tower, I felt my heart sink. The city of New York has always had a special place in my heart. The state of New York, the city of New York, the city of Manhattan. I've just always been amazed by the beauty and the charm and diversity and the melting pot and the culture that it's become. And I wanted to take an opportunity to share two things with you. The first is I remember on that day when it happened that shortly thereafter, I received word that people wanted me to go out to New York. And I took my family, I took my wife, I took my kids at the time, and we flew on JetBlue, and we flew into New York. And I remember the tanks in Battery Park, and I remember the smell. I remember all of the debris. I remember seeing it looked like a war zone. It was the craziest thing I'd ever seen in my entire life. And there's a feeling in your heart, if you were there, that just never goes away. It's that feeling that you'll never forget. And that's what brought me to the topic that I wanted to discuss with you today. Those of you who know me well know that my daughter also runs a small business, and she recently had an opportunity to talk to someone who was part of the fire department in New York during 9/11. And he was planning a trip to Disney World, and he reached out to her and he says that now he's resorted to riding on a scooter everywhere that he goes. And he asked her to make a special tag to go on the front of his scooter. And he wanted it to be something to remember 9/11, but he also wanted it to be something that represented the Walt Disney Company so that he could escape from all the things that were going on in his life. So he could escape from reality for a little while, but still remember what happened on that tragic day. And she proceeded to make him a marine vinyl tag, a tag made out of marine vinyl, an embroidered tag. And it had the 9/11 20th anniversary insignia on it. It had his name, it had some other information, and it had Disney on the bottom and whatnot. And he received this gift, and the response, the feeling that he got, it was just something that touched his life and moved him. And it was something that he was so grateful to have received. And he went on to explain that this was the part that was most important to him, that he could use this to have conversations with people about what happened, to have conversations about inequality, to have conversations about why people get frustrated, to have conversations about what happened that day, to have conversations about how it changed his life forever, and to have conversations about how everyone who lived through that tragedy is changed forever. My hope is that we can take this tragedy that happened some 20 years later, and that we can leverage this as a tool. What many people seem to have forgotten is that the past is good to remember, so that we can make sure that we don't make similar mistakes in the future. We can learn from our past. We can pivot. We can inspect and adapt, which is all part of the Agile process. It's all part of the Agile framework. But I think that too often we try to block out some of those painful memories so that we can forget about them. But then it never brings us to a place where we can truly appreciate all of the good things that we have in our lives. So I just want to take an opportunity to share my one collective thought. First of all, my thank you to all those who serve in any service-related industry, whether you're a policeman, a fireman, whether you serve in the armed forces. A debt of gratitude that's bigger than I could ever express is owed to you. But I think the more important thing that we can do as individuals is we can take this opportunity on this 20th anniversary to educate, to talk to others, and to make certain that we become a more loving and inclusive people. I think the number one message that I could leave you with today is not so much what happened on 9/11, but what happened on 9/12, 9/13, 9/14, on the weeks following. There was no such thing as differences between people. We were all, if you were from the United States, we were all American and we were all united. And I saw so many images and videos of people uplifting each other and helping each other and doing things for each other. And for a moment, I thought, how terrible is this tragedy? But how awesome is it that this tragedy turned the world into a better place and allowed us to make connections that we wouldn't make otherwise? So my thought is, before we have another tragedy, as part of our lesson from the previous tragedy, let's try to find a moment to take an opportunity to treat others with dignity and respect, to not be as judgmental, to take off the lenses that have been put on us, and to really help understand who people are and to help uplift those who are less fortunate than we are, to do things that are necessary to come together. And part of us should be in a state where we can tear down walls and build bridges, and we can find the things that we have in common instead of the things that we don't, and we can learn to love and appreciate one another. Today, I'm proud to honor all those who do everything and give all that they have to serve us. I'm proud to say that I remember what happened, and that I'm incredibly proud to say that I try to do all that I can each day to make a difference and to help uplift those who are in need. And I'm also very grateful for each of you who subscribe to this podcast and who listen every day, because it's important for you so that you can share these messages with other people to help uplift them. That's going to do it for today. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please do something special to remember all those who suffered or perished as a result of 9/11, and do something even bigger in your local community to help uplift someone who's in need. Stay healthy, stay well, and stay agile. Until next time, do take care.